Okay, picture this. It's Vijayawada, April 20th, 2025. There's this real energy, a buzz across Andhra Pradesh
Mm.
because it's Chief Minister Nara Chandrababu Naidu's 75th birthday. And, it feels like more than just a birthday.
Right, it feels like a moment, a real point to sort of pause and look at this figure who's been so central for so long.
Exactly. So we wanted to do a bit of a deep dive today, explore his journey, his impact,
Hmm.
what this milestone really signifies. We've looked at quite a bit of material to piece this together.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, born in Naravaripalli, that small village in Chittor district, April 20th, 1950, his life story really does kind of mirror the state's own journey in many ways.
4 terms as chief minister, that's
Yeah.
significant, starting back in 95, then again from 2014, and now leading again since the 24 elections.
It really is a huge chunk of the state's recent history.
And starting from, well, relatively humble beginnings, wasn't it? Son of farmers, Kardra Naidu and Amanama.
That's right. And he pursued education quite seriously early on, got his bachelor's from Sri Venkateswara University back in '72.
And he even started PhD work, right? Looking into Professor N.G. Ranga's economic ideas.
He did, yeah. Shows that sort of intellectual bent early on, but politics seemed to call pretty strongly.
Mm-hmm. He jumped in around 1975, joined the Indian Youth Congress,
Mm-hmm.
which was, right in the middle of the emergency.
Very intense time to enter politics. And his early association with Sanjay Gandhi, well, it shows he was navigating those complex currents right from the start.
And his rise was, well, pretty meteoric, wasn't it?
Incredibly fast. By '78, he's the youngest MLA from Chandragiri. He was just 28.
28, wow.
And then, just 2 years later, the youngest minister,
Yeah.
handling technical education and cinematography.
That's quite an ascent. And then 1981, a really pivotal moment, personally and politically.
Ah, yes. The marriage to Bhuvaneswari.
Daughter of the legendary N.T. Rama Rao, NTR.
Exactly. And that connection, well, it reshaped his entire political trajectory, didn't it? NTR, of course, founded the Telugu Desam Party, the TDP, just the next year in '82.
Which created a fascinating situation because Naidu, then still with Congress, actually lost his Chandragiri seat in the '83 election, that big TDP wave.
Right. But given the family ties to NTR and just the way the political winds were blowing, it wasn't too long before he switched over and joined the TDP.
And once he was in the TDP, he seemed to become indispensable pretty quickly. Not just a figurehead, but really involved in the nuts and bolts.
Oh, completely. He was key in organizing party activities, even pioneering things like digitizing membership records way back then, which was quite forward-thinking.
And crucial during that whole 1984 episode, right?
Yeah.
The attempt by Nadendra Bhaskar Rao to oust NTR.
Absolutely central. He played a major role in countering that coup attempt, and that really cemented his position within the party hierarchy.
Leading to him becoming TDP General Secretary in '86. So he was clearly the strategist, the organizer.
Mm-hmm. Building his influence from within.
Which brings us to 1995, a moment that's still, talked about so much in Andhra politics.
The political coup, yes. Against his own father-in-law, NTR.
It was complicated. Internal party issues, NTR's marriage to Lakshmi Parvati playing a role.
A whole mix of factors. But the outcome was clear. Naidu became chief minister on September 1st, 1995.
And that really marked the beginning of a new era, didn't it? A sharp turn towards, well, technology and development.
Definitely. The high-tech CM era, as people started calling it.
Symbolized, I guess, by the launch of A-Tech City in Hyderabad in '98 with Prime Minister Vajpayee.
That was a huge statement of intent, transforming Hyderabad into a major IT hub.
And he was incredibly successful in attracting the big names, wasn't he? Microsoft setting up their second largest R&D campus there.
Right, and Oracle, Google. I mean, the story of him personally persuading Bill Gates is almost legendary now.
What do you think was the key to that? Just pure persuasion?
Well, I think it was a combination. A really compelling vision, yes, but also backing it up with action. Building the infrastructure roads, telecom, the IT parks themselves, even the iTech's convention center.
That slogan, bye-bye Bangalore, hello Hyderabad. Pretty bold.
It was bold, but it captured the ambition, and it got attention.
Yeah, internationally, too. The World Bank loan, 50 billion rupees for restructuring.
A massive endorsement. And then features in the New York Times, Time magazine naming him South Asian of the Year in '99.
It really put Hyderabad and Andhra Pradesh on the global tech map.
No doubt about it. But that intense focus, it wasn't without its issues, was it?
No, definitely not. That's the other side of the coin. There were criticisms, especially from the agricultural sector. Farmers feeling neglected.
And the push for privatization, the focus of Vision 2020, seemingly favoring corporations that caused friction.
Remember the protest against the power sector reforms?
Oh, yes. Pretty significant backlash. And that label, World Bank poster boy.
Mm,
It cut both ways, didn't it?
it did. Seen as praise in some circles, but criticism in others, suggesting he was maybe too aligned with external agencies over local needs.
And ultimately, the TDP lost the 2004 elections, perhaps reflecting some of those very concerns.
It makes you think about that balancing act, you know? How do you drive rapid development in one sector without leaving others behind?
It's the perennial challenge of development, isn't it? But even after that loss, he remained leader of the opposition for a full decade, 2004 to 2014. That shows real political resilience.
Absolutely. And then he comes back as chief minister in 2014, but under vastly different circumstances.
Right, post-bifurcation,
Yeah.
leading a residual Andhra Pradesh after Telangana was formed. It was almost like hitting the reset button.
A huge challenge. And his focus shifted then to building Amaravati.
The dream of a brand new, futuristic capital city. Green spaces, smart infrastructure,
Yeah.
incredibly ambitious.
And again, some successes. Andhra topping the ease of doing business rankings during that period.
That drive for investment, for development, it's been a constant theme. But that period also had immense challenges.
You can't forget the 2003 landmine attack near Tirupati by the People's War Group. A stark reminder of the risks.
A terrifying incident. And then, more recently, the political setbacks, the big loss in the 2019 elections.
And the arrest in 2023 in the skill development scam case, followed by his release on bail. That was a really turbulent time.
Incredibly dramatic. And his wife, Bhuvaneswari, campaigning so actively while he was in custody, that definitely became part of the narrative.
It really seemed to galvanize support in some quarters.
Which perhaps played into the massive comeback in 2024.
What a turnaround, leading the TDP-BJP Jana Sena alliance to that landslide victory.
Yeah.
135 assembly seats.
And 16 Lok Sabha seats, making him a crucial player, a kingmaker, really, in the national NDA government.
It's quite something. How do you explain that kind of resurgence after such setbacks?
It speaks volumes about his political acumen, his connection with a core base, and maybe a perception among voters that he offers experienced leadership, especially on the development front, just navigating those peaks and valleys over decades. It's remarkable.
Shifting gears a bit, looking beyond the politics. The family's also quite involved, aren't they?
Very much so. His wife, Bhuvaneswari, heads Heritage Foods Limited, which is a major dairy company. Huge turnover.
Right, I saw the figures. It's something like 26 billion rupees in 2021-22.
Yeah, substantial. And their son, Nara Lokesh, he's now the IT and HRD minister in the state cabinet.
Following the footsteps, in a way. And his wife, Brahmani, is also involved with Heritage Foods, I believe.
That's correct. So the family's deeply woven into both the political and economic fabric of the state.
And then there are those little personal details, like his openness about having vitiligo.
Which is quite unusual for a public figure, perhaps, and his daily routine, that discipline.
The 4 a.m. yoga sessions, the long work hours, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. supposedly, that's intense dedication.
It paints a picture of someone incredibly focused, driven. Even that birthday cake we mentioned, shaped like his signature white shirt and pen. It's a small thing, but it says a lot about his cultivated image.
So as we look at his legacy now at 75, it's definitely complex. There are strongly opposing views.
For sure. The critics point to that perceived anti-poor stance sometimes, the focus on IT, possibly at the expense of agriculture in the early years.
Controversial power reforms, privatization, those still come up. And the issues surrounding Amaravati land acquisition, funding problems.
Right. Even recent things, like that Tirupati Ladu controversy that went all the way to the Supreme Court. These things fuel the criticism.
But then on the other hand, you have the supporters.
And they see him very differently. As Andhra's Steve Jobs, almost, the visionary who built HI Tech City pushed e-governance.
Those real-time governance systems using tech for administration.
Exactly. They highlight his success in attracting international investment. Japan, Singapore, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, his presence at Davos, at the World Economic Forum.
And the awards, like the Golden Peacock, that honorary professorship from Kellogg, they point to that global recognition.
So you have these two very distinct narratives about his impact.
And looking ahead now, what's the focus for this current term? It doesn't seem like retirement is on the cards.
Not at all. The talk is about reviving the Amaravati project, boosting MSMEs, the small and medium businesses.
Integrating more tech, right? AI, drones, and governance.
Yes, continuing that tech focus, plus promoting green energy, forest conservation, even things like seaplane tourism.
And he's already pushing for more funds for AP from the 16th Finance Commission. So very much engaged in the immediate financial realities.
Absolutely. This 75th birthday, it really underscores the sense of a leader who's been incredibly resilient, navigated huge challenges, and just remained central to Andhra Pradesh's story for decades.
So wrapping up our deep dive,
Yeah.
his influence on Andhra Pradesh is just undeniable, isn't it? Whatever your personal take on his policies.
Completely undeniable. And his story isn't finished. This current term? Well, it's another chapter waiting to be written.
It really makes you wonder, looking back at his whole career, that focus on vision, maybe his adaptability, that relationship with technology, what are the biggest takeaways? What holds the most relevant lessons, for Andhra Pradesh, maybe even beyond, as we look towards the future?
That's a great question to ponder. His journey offers a lot to think about. Whichever aspect you focus on, definitely food for thought.